Hi guys, my name is Alina Shaltsova. I'm an immigration attorney from New York, and today in our live YouTube presentation, I'm going to be talking about the most recent immigration news, good or bad, only be lack of thereof. So we're going to discuss USCIS news from Immigration Court, Department of State, and of course, I will be happy to answer some of you guys' questions. So thank you very much for joining me. Please say hello, say where you're watching from. Don't forget to save your questions. Please type them up in the chat so I will be able to refer to them after I'm done talking. It was very nice. It was very nice seeing you all, guys. Hi, Navelte. Hi, Amar. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Vinod. Very nice. Thank you for joining. And let's start. So first of all, I wanted to mention a little bit about USCIS and good news coming from USCIS. The good news is that they slowly but surely go away from the Trump policy of interviewing everyone, regardless of what they're filing for, regardless of whether it's a little baby or it's your mother or father. If you recall, during the Trump administration, they came up with this idea that no adjustment of status application or any other application should be approved unless you show up for the interview. I'm not sure why. Perhaps now we are suffering from this tremendous USCIS backlog as a result, partially as a result of that interesting policy. So USCIS now confirmed that they will be waiving interviews generally for I-730 form beneficiaries, and rather calling them on a case-by-case basis, right? This same policy is now applied for employment cases or to employment cases. The same policy is applied to cases where you're sponsoring your parents. VAWA cases very often get approved without an interview. Special immigrant juvenile cases are very often approved without the interview. But if you are called for the interview, it's not a big deal most of the time, unless there is fraud in your case, okay? Sometimes they just call you to clarify certain issues, or maybe get a statement from you. So it's common. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean your application will be denied. Very often people are asking me, is it possible to get a marriage-based green card without being called for an interview? I'll be honest, I personally do not know any of such cases. About a year and a half ago, during the pandemic, during the start of the pandemic, I've heard that there were cases like that, but I personally never had a case like that, because marriage-based cases are different than regular adjustment or other adjustment of status cases. In a marriage-based case, there is a concern and by law, established by law, that the marriage may be not real, and as such, case cannot be approved. Also, if you fail that marriage-based interview and you fail second interview, which in New York is called Stokes interview, you will receive what's called 204C note in your file, meaning that no petition will ever be able to be approved for you. For that reason, marriage-based interviews always took place, and I do not foresee them being waived. I hope that they may be modified and going through digital time, just like we speak right now, for example, the same way courts are handling hearing by video. But I do not think that in the nearest future, marriage-based cases will just, for them, interviews will be waived. The only type of a marriage-based case when I see an interview may be waived is when you first were sponsored as a fiancé, and then you filed for adjustment of status. In that situation previously, before Trump, yes, interviews were waived sometimes, but not always. Hi Azet, hi Yannick, hi Amrom, hi Venkat, hi Widenbeke. Thank you guys for joining. Hi Mrad. Don't forget to prepare your questions. Now it's your opportunity to ask lawyer questions for free. I do these live sessions regularly, at least once a week. I also do them on my Facebook page. So if you have only one question, you're not quite ready for the consultation, this is your time to ask those questions. I always am happy to answer them. So this is the news about USCIS I wanted to share you. An important update from immigration courts. Immigration courts go digital in February. In about mid-February, if you're going to be starting your case with or in immigration court, the documents will have to be filed electronically. For most lawyers like me who are also practicing in federal courts, it's kind of not a big deal. We actually prefer it because electronic filings have been practiced in New York for a long time, at least 10 years, maybe more. And it's actually very convenient. You always know that the court received the documents. You always know that the other side received the documents. So it's good. Of course, there may be some issues with confidential documents and confidential cases where you will have to still submit them by paper. Let's say medical documents, right? They should be private. And the courts set up the rules for that already. But the thing is this, your lawyer, you need to know about that. The paper cases that started as paper cases will continue to be paper cases. And always, of course, check your local rules. So we have a migration court practice manual. We have standing orders for the local rules. And some judges may also issue their standing orders. It's very important to check all that before you file. Usually, I find that immigration judges are very understanding and forgiving when you're filing documents with little, violations, or you're a little bit late. Immigration court is pretty awesome, I should say, in this situation. But don't be late. Try not to be late, okay, with filing your documents, just because you want to make sure that the other side has sufficient time to prepare. So would the judge, because nobody likes surprises. I keep saying it to all my clients. Nobody likes surprises. You also would not like if the prosecutor drops something on you, something important, a day before a hearing, or even on the day of the hearing, right? It happens still. It happens that sometimes you find out about an important situation only on the day of the hearing. It probably cannot be avoided. But when the prosecutor does it, nothing happens usually to the prosecutor. To you, something negative may happen. So remember this, right? You're trying to be on time, always as much as you can, as much as it's humanly possible. Now, exciting news for those who filed for their immigrant visas, actually received them and could not use them because of various bans, pandemic, and so on and so forth. You guys will be able to, most likely will be able to get your visas revalidated without the need of a new interview. Because the rule of thumb and the general rule that whenever you need a visa, immigrant visa, even if you have to apply for it again because of the pandemic, you will have to appear for the interview. So Department of State issued a new rule saying that starting on December 13th, if you were issued an immigrant visa on or after August 4th, 2019, you did not use it for entry to the United States, and you're trying to get the same visa in the same category based on the same petition, so on and so forth, you will be able to reapply, and they will issue a visa to you without the need for in-person interview, which is, of course, is convenient. Just because you may be aware it's very difficult to receive that in-person interview right now. From what I know, most consulates are making appointments for tourist visas for 2023. This is the wait time. At least it's true for the countries of the post-Soviet Union, right? More than a year you have to wait. At least those are the dates for now. It may be changing. If they will start speeding up and working faster, this timeline may change. It would be very good. You also may know that Russian cases of immigrant visas for Russian nationals were transferred now to Warsaw. It also means that you will have to re-upload all the documents to the NVC system again, because now the cases are going to have new case numbers with Warsaw as their consulate, right? But in this particular situation, I think it's very useful that you will not have to, helpful rather, that you will not have to appear for the interview, and they will just revalidate your immigrant visa. Now, they will do so, but only if you don't have any material changes in your situation. And here I wanted to mention one very particular situation. For example, you were sponsored by your family member, parents, for example, and you are in a category of unmarried son or daughter or unmarried child, right? You get your visa, and then you think, wow, that would be a great idea if I marry right now before entering the United States, before I use my visa. You do that, you come to the United States, everything goes fantastic. Then you think, oh, I would like to sponsor my spouse. Yeah, I left my spouse overseas. You do that, and instead of the sponsorship, you receive a notice that your visa, your other status was obtained fraudulently, and now you may be placed in removal proceedings. And you're like, what happened? It is because once you marry, before you enter the United States, before you actually use that visa that was given to an unmarried person, your qualification for entry is ruined. And you can no longer use that visa to come to the United States. Your category changes, category sponsorship. Not only you may find yourself in removal proceedings, very often people discover the situation after they try to submit their papers for naturalization. So sometimes you get stuck in this situation for years. You cannot sponsor your family members, you cannot get your naturalization. And the only way to fix this situation would be if you qualify for the waiver, if you are actually placed in removal proceedings. I know it's kind of weird. So don't do that. Do not get married before entering the United States if you received a visa as an unmarried son or daughter or child. That's that simple. You can marry them right after you come back, after you receive your visa. It's very, 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 very easy to accomplish. It doesn't mean you don't want to marry somebody, you just don't want to ruin your chances of having a legal permanent residency in the United States. Hi, Wooden Becky. Hello. Hi, Imran. And now, guys, if you have your questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Hi, Yancy. How long does it take for work permit through PIP? How long does it take for work permit parole in place? So if you receive the parole in place, you would, I wouldn't really know, and I'm going to tell you why, because usually if you receive parole in place, you would be filing for adjustment of status, right? I mean, it's possible to receive a work permit as well, but as a rule, you will be filing for adjustment of status. So whoever is handling your application, I guess the best thing is to ask them what their plans are for you, right? Because in my experience, what we did, we would receive parole in place, and then we would receive work permits based on adjustment of status pending, right? Because you would need parole in place usually only, currently in most cases, it's given only to people who are members of the military, right? Former military members or current military members. So that's when you receive parole in place. If you're talking about the new parole program, Plan C, that I have no idea what's going to happen with that. I'll be honest with you. I can only comment on what we see with regular work permits applications. Right now, it takes about 6 months to receive one, sometimes even longer. All right. That we're talking about work permits based on deferred action, work permits based on adjustment of status pending. And the only way to get a work permit fast would be to qualify to be a special member of that asylum plaintiffs. And then you're going to receive your work permit less than 30 days. Within 30 days, they're going to issue a work permit to you. But other than that, it's 6 months. That's I would say that's probably an accurate estimate for many categories of the work permits. I have no idea why. I do not know why it takes so long. It used to be maximum 3 months. Hi, Ajun Gok, watching from Maryland. I think it's warm in New York. New York got so cold. Orlando is beautiful. Hi, Imran. Can I contact you for consultation? Of course, you can contact me for consultation. We do charge for the consultation, unlike here when we don't charge. Of course not. I do charge for the consultation. Some lawyers don't have the fees for the consultation. Most lawyers that I know do, but you can call our office 917-885-2261, and we're gonna choose the time and date that's convenient for you and me. And you can send your paperwork in advance, so I'll have it before the consultation. We'll go over anything you want to go over with. I just got married with my wife. Hi, Ajahn Gok, and my wife has a green card through asylum, and I'm having a pending asylum case in court. Is it possible for me to change my status? Well, if your wife already is a green card holder, she may petition for you, but most likely you will not be able to adjust your status because most likely you do not meet the exception to the general rule that you must be in status when a green card holder is filing for you. So I would suggest you discuss it with your attorney, right? You discuss with your attorney what the plan is going to be. Is it going to be a waiver? Is it going to be administrative closure? Something of that sort, probably administrative closure. But of course, I'm not your lawyer, and it's not a consultation you can rely on. We can review your case if you wish, but that would be my best guess for someone in your situation. Hi, I don't hear much about Plan C, but the child care tax. Is it more concerned with Joe Manchin? I hope Plan C will be included and the whole bill will pass. You are correct. We actually don't hear anything about Plan C, if you've noticed. What is it, a week? The last thing that we've heard of about immigration reform was that they're going to meet, they're going to discuss, that some senators are for it, some senators are against it, but it's been dead silence after that. And they said that the plan was to vote for it by Christmas, which is like in what, 10 days? Today is the 15th. And you're correct. There is nothing, I don't think anyone else knows anything, I'll be honest. What their concerns are, I also have no idea. I mean, I know that immigration issue is a big political issue here. It's not practical anymore. It's not humanitarian. It's political issue, right? Because they're basically saying that it's very polarized too. It's either you for it or you're against it, and it's very, very sad to watch that that's how it all is coming down, to this two polarized opinions. We're going to see what's going to happen. I'll be honest. I am checking those news. I'm checking those different media resources and Congress updates every day. I did not see anything. I have not seen anything. Maybe something is coming out just now when we're talking, but to my knowledge, I really don't have any updates. Of course, it's very upsetting. I think they should say at least something. I know that something is being done, like they at least have some sort of conversations, but nothing that I can unfortunately comment on here. What happened in Senate today with regard to BBB? Have no idea, guys. I'll be honest. Work permit for those who came before 2022. Should they have? Yeah, I think they should have that. I think, my personal opinion, they should give work permit to anybody who wants it. It's much better this way. People will still be working without authorization. At least when you have a work permit, you work legally and you can legally pay taxes. An employer can legally hire you, which is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And later they can deal with you. If they think you are inadmissible, they can place you through the authorized by law channels to resolve these issues, right? But to keep people here and not giving them opportunity to get the legal work permit is also kind of strange, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe somebody has a better idea, but I think it's strange because if you're physically in the United States, you most likely will be working. I don't know any immigrants who just live here for free. Maybe somebody does, but I personally never met anyone. So I think it's always better to work legally and pay taxes than not to. And I really do not know what's the rationale behind all these restrictions. They say not to encourage illegal immigration, but I think it's still going on. It's like it doesn't stop really illegal immigration. I don't know. Do they ask questions in the citizenship interview? Hi, Emil. Interviews such as, do you support US Constitution, or if necessary, would you be willing to defend the United States in a war? Or what if you answer no to these questions? Emil, when you are preparing for your interview, and when you are actually, it starts with the N400 form. You can open that form and you will see all the questions they ask, because these questions directly taken from the N400 form. You can find it for free at USCIS.gov website. Yes, they do ask those questions. And if you do not support the United States Constitution, I don't think you would qualify for citizenship. Some people may qualify for certain exceptions based on religious grounds regarding carrying of weapons. Okay? Some people may qualify for the waivers, but generally speaking, if you say no to those questions, if you believe that, you are being disqualified for citizenship unless you qualify for the waivers. This is one of the main part of the oath of allegiance, that you will be loyal to this country, not any other country in the world, not where you were living, not where you were born, and that your loyalty, you swear your loyalty to the United States. Okay, it's very, very serious. And I hope that every applicant for the naturalization understands that. You may be still holding that other passport from that other country that you were born in, but that's no longer the country where you're going to be expressing your loyalty to. Okay, that's the idea of the United States naturalization process. Hi, Ransom. A felon who used to be a green card holder through marriage and still married, but was granted deferral or removal. What chance, if any, to have a green card? What happened? What happened? What criminal convictions you have? I guess it disqualified you for something, right? You became deportable. I cannot, of course, consult you here on such an important question. I can only say that generally speaking, you would have to remove the barriers to your legal residency first. As a rule, it would include removing the conviction, if possible, or vacating it, right? So I can only point you in the general direction. And of course, you should consult with an attorney to see what can be done, if anything, in your case. Sometimes nothing can be done. Sometimes the record clearly establishes certain grounds of deportability that you can't remove. It's possible, very much possible, or maybe there was something else going on in your case. So, your lawyer probably should have consulted with you and explained to you in detail the situation when they were handling your removal proceedings. Hi, Jean. Have a pending asylum interview for around 8 years. Whoa! With the new interview waiver rule, can USCIS decide if my interview is necessary? What is the new USCIS interview waiver rule? It doesn't apply to asylum cases. It applies to I-730 form, to the beneficiary of asylum 1 cases. If you've been waiting for your interview for 8 years, you may receive a notice that you really don't qualify for asylum. If you filed your asylum case past your 1-year deadline, okay? And then they say, we think you may not qualify for asylum because you missed your 1-year deadline, filing deadline. Now you can choose whether you want to waive the appearance at the interview and we're going to transfer you to court, or you can appear for your interview and fight for it. And you're going to say that I believe I qualify for asylum still, even though I missed my 1-year filing deadline, and I have good reason why it happened, why I missed my deadline. I had a case like this where we won. They wanted us to waive the interview, saying we're just going to transfer you to court and you can deal with them. We said, no, we would like to fight for our 1-year deadline exception We did. It took us, I think, 8 months to receive the interview notice after we received the waiver of the interview invitation, and we won the case. When my client missed her deadline by 16 years, but she had a very good reason for that. She was able to win her case at asylum interview despite this. But this is the only type of asylum waiver interviews that you can receive. I have never had a case where they would grant you asylum at the asylum office without you appearing for the interview. I do not know about such cases, okay? I-730 form interview, that's different. This is when, for example, a mother won her asylum case. Now she is sponsoring her child who was all this time, who's been living in her home country. The child could not have been included in her asylum case because the child was overseas. She'll have to file Form I-730. Maybe now child somehow entered the United States, or maybe she never included the child. I've seen cases like this, or husband, or whatever people's rationale was. Now that person, that beneficiary, may be excused from coming to the interview. That's how it works, okay? That's what I was talking about at the beginning. It's different from asylum interview itself, because asylum interview must be given to you by law. That's how it works, you know. But 8 years, you surprised me. It's like from 2013, you've never been called for the interview. This is crazy. I know that in New York, they said that they never had a case older than September, at least like about 6 months ago. They said that the oldest case they had was from September 2015. Your case would have to be from 2013. This is like nuts, all right? Crazy. I'm sorry. It's just really crazy. Hi, Matt. If somebody get the denial for I-360 as self-petitioner, and also denial I-45 for not sure it's not a bona fide marriage, can he play I-45 since he's been here from June 2000? All right, so I-45 got denied because I-360 got denied, right? I-360 got denied because you were not able to prove that the marriage was real. I-360 is a vow case. And yes, one of the points you have to prove during the vow case is that your marriage is real, right? This is the first qualifications, or was real. So that got denied. And now can he file maybe what you mean for I-45I since he's been here from June 2000? To qualify for I-45I exception, you need to show that you've been sponsored by someone prior to April 30th, 2001. You've been physically present in the United States in December of 2000. There is a specific date, we'll say in December of 2000, right? But that's not enough. Why do we use I-45I? We use it only to automatically overcome certain grounds of inadmissibility, like lack of legal entry, like unauthorized work, like staying in the United States after your authorized time. And you still need to have the basis for I-45 application for the green card. You still have to have an approved I-130, I-360, I-140. I-45I does not give you an opportunity to automatically file for the green card. It's not what that petition is about. It's called grandfathering. I actually have an article on my website, adjustment of status based on I-245I exception, okay? It's almost used as the waiver of certain grounds of inadmissibility in very specific situations. That's what it is. It will not save you from certain, problems like 204C, if you were charged with that. If you were charged with that, you know what this is. Hi, Rauf. Hi, Alina. I applied for asylum in 2017 in January, but haven't even called for the interview. That's normal. Is it possible that my case is lost, or is there anything that I can do to be considered for the interview? No, Rauf, that's totally normal. What happened that you filed prior to the Trump changed order, and you're going to get stuck for a while. So, as you just heard, some people are waiting for 8 years for the asylum interview, though it's very rare. Typical range will be 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I know that currently, due to pandemic, we see this huge delays and everything. But if I had to predict, I would say that you should be called soon, maybe next year. But I don't think your case is lost. It's not because it was lost, no. Hi, Pujitha. What happens to spouse who came to the United States in 2015, and if her spouse came before 2011 and eligible for parole? Okay. If the reform passes and a person is eligible for parole, you will not be able to get any dependents. At least this is what it says. Each person will have to qualify independently. It means that one of the spouses will receive parole and a work permit, and another one will not. That's why parole not a good or ideal solution, okay? Because when they were talking about other qualifications, they would allow for the family members to qualify as well. For example, I think they were talking about Plan A. If one of the spouses or parent would qualify for Plan A, then the children and the other spouse would be able to benefit from it too. But nah, not anymore. At least, I don't know. Do you think that they're preparing some sort of a surprise for all of us because they're so quiet this whole week? Tell me what you think. We're going to see. Imagine you wake up and they say, Senators passed Plan A. Wouldn't it be nice before Christmas? I think it would be. Hi, Spartan. I got my green card through a US citizen in 2016. We divorced in 2019. Now I have citizenship interview. I don't do my taxes from 2016. I'm paying taxes now. Will I get in trouble at the interview? Why didn't you do your taxes? Yes, you will if you didn't file your taxes. Now, everybody who lives in the United States should be filing taxes, period. If you do them, first of all, I'm not a tax professional, but all I can tell you is that you should speak to your tax attorney or most likely accountant, and you can do the back filings, right? Some people don't file taxes because they had no income to report. And if this is a situation, that's fine, but then they have to bring an affidavit to USCIS attesting to that. But if you had income and you didn't report it, you should immediately contact your tax professional, accountant or attorney, and they will help you to resolve the situation. And you can even set up a plan with IRS if you owe them some money. And here it is. If you have a plan to pay taxes that were due or are due, you should not be denied citizenship based on that, okay? Because in USCIS regulations, it actually says that if you have a plan, do you have any taxes that you owe? Yes. Do you have a plan? Yes, I have a plan and I've been paying. I started paying. Then I've had clients where applications were granted. If you didn't file taxes and didn't pay your taxes, that's when the application will be denied. That's true. So make sure you clear up your tax situation. This is one of the worst things that you can do in the United States, apart from being criminally convicted, guys, is not to pay taxes. Just remember that. Hi, Jean. Thank you so much for the clarification. I really appreciate your knowledge and the answer. As follow-up question related to asylum, do I have disadvantage if I move out of the state I filed my case? This is a difficult question for me to answer. I mean, by itself, it doesn't affect your case. You either qualify for asylum or you don't. But will it slow down your case processing? I think so. I think so. Because if you change your residence, and of course you have to inform USCIS about your change of address. Now your file has to travel to the new asylum office, right? And usually I see delays. Some people say sometimes you can expedite the case this way. I do not know of any cases of expedition. Usually you will see a delay. And in fact, USCIS, if you recall, maybe you don't, because you know who's going to be remembering it, but they had a rule that if you're filing for the work permit based on asylum pending and you caused the delay of your asylum case by moving after you filed your case, they can deny your work permit because of that. Now, this is not the current rule, but it was the rule that they tried to promote during the Trump administration. It tells us that, yes, moving the case from jurisdiction to jurisdiction delays the case consideration, right? So they admitted to it, basically. Hi, Jose. My name is Luis from Mexico. Your nickname says Jose, but okay, that's your personal stuff. My name is Luis from Mexico. I've been deported more than once. I was in the United States since I was 2017. I'm 53 now. Can I do anything after I was deported? You know, we would have to look at your case. How many years ago were you last deported? Are you outside of the United States or inside of the United States? Maybe you served your bar. If you were deported more than once, most likely you had a 20, not 10, but 20-year bar. Or maybe it was not the case. So a lawyer in this situation would have to order your files from USCIS, Immigration Court, CBP, take a look at your record, talk to you, see if you have any family members who can sponsor you, or if you have strong ties with your country and you just would like to visit, and then we'll be able to answer your question, whether or not you'll be able to come back permanently or to visit, because these are two different scenarios. Sometimes a person forever barred to get an immigrant visa, but they still can come on a non-immigrant visa. Believe it or not, very, very interesting situation with United States immigration laws. So guys, thank you very much for watching and joining and asking your questions. It was a pleasure to see so many people joining. I'm so happy. You know, thank you again, guys. I hope we're gonna have some good news this holiday season. I surely am hopeful. If you know something, if you heard something, please comment on our community board if you hear some good news or if you hear bad news too. I'm always checking what you guys are saying, what news you're sharing with me, just as I share whatever I know, whatever I updates I receive from various sources. And main thing, stay healthy, try to be positive and happy. It's very important. And again, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you soon.